Yes, sir. It's your boy Jelani Goodridge Reed. I am back. Welcome to the latest episode of Read Between the Lines. That is RBTL. So obviously be sure to follow at the RBTL show on Instagram for more of my episode clips, more of my episode updates, show times, all that sort of thing. And follow me on there, but not just there. You can find me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor FM, Radio Public, all these sort of sites you can find me on with my show episodes. But yeah, I'm happy to be back. It's been a while. It's been a while for sure. I've been busy, so that's why I haven't gotten any episodes out. I know NFL has been in full swing. Shout out to my Dallas Cowboys, 5-1. You see the Zeke jersey back there. You see it. So right now we're off to a good start, but let's hope that it lasts the season long. Just to hopefully get to the playoffs and do things down the road. That's what I'm really hoping for. But anyway, today's not about NFL. Okay. I know that the NFL, like I said, in full swing. We also got the MLB playoffs. All right. Atlanta. Let's see if they don't choke. They're a city that chokes. Okay. We've seen it before. Falcons, sorry. Braves last year, 3-1. Same sort of thing with the Dodgers in the NLCS, and they failed. So let's see if they fail again. Who knows? I don't think so. We got on the other side the Astros, Red Sox, all that happening right now. And NHL just started back. So shout out to the Penguins. Let's hope for a good year. Let's hope for a playoff berth this season. Obviously, Crosby out, Malkin as well. He's trying to get back. So things not looking too good from that area, but it's an okay start for us so far. And it's really on the goaltending. But anyway, it's not about those sports. It's all about ball today. We're talking basketball. We're talking NBA predictions, my guys and girls. We're talking ball. All right. So today I'm giving you my NBA predictions. We're going to break it down East, West, awards, and of course, Jelani's Fraud Watch. I have developed this new saying, this new term called the Fraud Watch. You guys are, all aware about it. I've talked about it on Instagram and on Twitter. But for those who know, just a quick thing, the Fraud Watch is for any team, any player who isn't performing up to par or is on, high alert in terms of needing to show up when it matters most. So I'm going to get to that later, but let's get right into it. The East. All right. So the Eastern Conference, we're going to start with them. Here's my top 6 teams in the Eastern Conference. I got the Bucks, the Nets, Heat, Hawks, Celtics, and then the Bulls. So that rounds out my top 6. And then when we're looking at the play-in, remember the play-in tournament, 7 through 10 all play in that tournament. So here's how it's looking here. I got the Sixers. Here I have the Knicks, the Hornets, and then 10th, the Pacers. A lot of fans are going to come after me right now. A lot of people are going to come after me right now. Here's how the rest of the Eastern Conference will look at 11. This is where you guys are going to be upset with me. I have the Raptors missing the play-in. Not just the playoffs, but the play-in. Give me the Wizards at 12. The Cavaliers, 13th. And then rounding out the East, the Magic and the Pistons, 14th and 15th, respectively. As for the Raptors, all right, quick thing on them. They're young. We're in transition, right? All Raptors fans want a playoff berth. I understand that. We're so accustomed to it now, given the 2010s, so much success with Lowry, DeRozan, then obviously Kawhi comes in and brings us all the way. But this is a new Raptors team. This is a Raptors team that resembles the team when we had a young DeRozan, a young Lowry, and we didn't really know who we were yet. A lot of young guys, up and coming guys trying to work their way, find their way, and entering their better years, their prime stages in their career. That's how we're seeing Fred VanVleet right now with OG Anunoby. Siakam, he is hurt, so that doesn't help anything out. That hurts us as we begin the season, not having him there. But yeah, you have the young cornerstones. I understand that. But it's definitely a transition period right now for the Toronto Raptors. And I think that the Raptors need a star player, like an all-star bona fide all-star caliber player in order for us to be one of those teams. Because I see a lot of Raptors fans talking about, oh, we're gonna make the conference playoffs as a 4th seed, as a 5th seed, as a 6th seed. I don't even see us in the top 6. I don't, and I'm not being a biased fan. I'm not being delusional. I'm just telling it or saying it how it really is right now for the Toronto Raptors. All right, transition period. Also, as for our bigs, last year was abysmal in terms of the center position. Okay, abysmal, terrible, all adjectives you want to say, whatever. We have Precious in the door now from the Heat trade with Kyle Lowry and Dragic comes in, but yeah, Precious Achua is coming in. He's going to be interesting to watch this season. How does he grow, right? How does he command the paint? We did see struggles in the first game against Washington, so I want to see how that progresses this season. Can we hang with teams in the East? Because a lot of teams in the East have those bigs. We're talking Philly, we're talking Milwaukee, all those guys. So how's it going to work out there? Because if we want to be specific, Daniel Gafford, he went off in game 1. So I want to see how that's going to play out. We obviously have Ken Birch and Boucher there, but yeah, that's the one spot I'm really zeroing in on. I still have some concerns about our bigs spot. So hopefully we could get our hands on, Marvin Bagley. He's disgruntled in Sacramento. I don't mind that. I don't mind that. He's cheap. A lot of people want DeAndre Ayton since all that drama with the Suns right now in contract, but he's way more expensive than Bagley. You never know. You never know. That's just something I'm throwing out there. But the Raptors will be okay. They'll be fun to watch. I love Scotty Barnes. He's going to come in, and he has a chance to be the Rookie of the Year. Plays both ways, both ends of the floor. Highly talented. Okay, he's long, athletic, fast. I love what the Raptors can do with him. We could develop him and make him become somebody to really, really watch moving forward as a potential all-star. He has that ceiling, and he can do multiple things on the floor, like I said. So I'm very excited for the Raptors moving forward. Fred VanVleet will be a most improved player candidate this year. He will. He has the opportunity to really do that because you don't have Kyle Lowry anymore. It's your team, Fred. It's your time. It's your time to shine with Pascal once Pascal comes back. But yeah, he's going to command the ship. But anyway, I just don't see the Raptors make the playoffs. I don't see us being better than the top 6 teams I mentioned. I don't see us being better than some of the teams in the play-in that I mentioned, as you see on the screen. I don't see it right now. Okay, because the Sixers, they're still there. I know that the Ben Simmons thing is happening, but they're still a good team. They might drop a bit though because of it, because of all the drama happening. But they're still a good team. The Knicks, they're not the same Knicks of the past 5 years, okay? They're actually competent. You have the Hornets there. The Hornets are young. They're flashy. And I do think that they have something really working there with LaMelo Ball and company. And then you have at 10th the Pacers. The Pacers are always a team people sleep on. They're going to be there, all right? They're going to be a team to watch this season given health. I hope that they're healthy because when they are healthy, they could definitely make some noise. Sabonis, you have Miles Turner, Brogdon, LeVert. I think LeVert being on this team is really, really intriguing. Chris Duarte, I mean, come on. What else can you say? Great start to his career. So they have some parts in Indiana, but we'll see how that works out and plays out. But yeah, sorry, Raptors fans, not going to happen this year. I see us at 11th. But yeah, that's how the East is shaking out. So again, just a reminder, these are my top 6. Bucks, Nets, Heat, Hawks, Celtics, Bulls. All right, the Bulls are going to be interesting. I think Zach LaVine, you guys know me about Zach LaVine. Like, I'm the biggest Zach LaVine fan probably on the planet. I love what he could do. He's a mix of athleticism along with being just a hooper. Like he could get his buckets wherever he wants on the floor, 2-pointer, 3-pointer. And again, he's just somebody who just demonstrates, and he's definitely he's the personification of an athlete, like athleticism, pure athleticism. I love Zach LaVine. But now you bring Lonzo Ball, you bring DeMar DeRozan. This is going to be a great unit. You have Vucevic there. I like what they're doing, and I'll talk about them a bit later for the awards. Wink, wink. I can't wink, but there's somebody on the Bulls that I believe will have an award this year. So that's a hint. And then another team to watch in this top six and in the Eastern Conference, I'm looking at the Hawks. The Hawks are someone I'm also going to be talking about later, but Trae Young, man, Ice Trae, Ice Trae. It's going to be interesting to see how he continues to improve, how he continues to grow. He had a fantastic year last year, and obviously the playoffs really made him become Trae Young. So we'll see how that works out. Nate McMillan, man, he could have got the Coach of the Year last year. He could have, the way that he had the Hawks playing the second half of the year. But yeah, that's how it's looking in the East. In the Western Conference now, in the Western Conference, here's my top six. I have the Jazz. Yes, I know a lot of people like Utah. What are you talking about, Utah? Utah's a good team. They're a good team, and they always prove it in the regular season. They go strong. They go hard in the regular season. All right, so I have them at number one. Number two, LA, the Lakers. Number three, yes, they're back. The Golden State Warriors. All right, they're going to be third. The Nuggets at four, the Suns, and then Luka's Mavericks at number six. And then here's the West play-in tournament. Let me pull that up for you right here. So the West, I have it looking like this. All right, the Clippers, really, really interesting team as well this season. Obviously, Kawhi hurt right now, so he won't be back for a while. The question is going to be, does he come back? And if he comes back, how will the Clippers look? That you obviously add Justice Winslow to the team. You have Eric Bledsoe. So some interesting additions to this team. So they're going to be someone to watch in the West. I don't think they're going to have as good of a year as they had last year. That was a lot due to Kawhi's play. He's not here, as I mentioned. So, but then number eight, the Grizz, man. The Grizz are going to be an 8 seed. Why? That guy, Ja Morant. Shout out to my fantasy team. We call it Jelani Morant. That's the fantasy team name I'm using this year. Couldn't get him, though. He was on my queue, and then someone took him right before my pick. But anyway, I think the Grizzlies are going to rely on Ja this year, and they're a good team. They're a good team that is rising. They're an up and coming team. They might have a type of year that we saw from teams like the Knicks, the Hawks last year that came out of nowhere. No one was really expecting much, but they played really well. The only problem for Memphis is they're in the Western Conference. 9, the Blazers. I don't see any improvements from their roster. Dame Lillard. Dame Lillard was talking about, okay, I want out. No, not true. Because a lot of people were like, oh, Dame wants to leave. He doesn't want to leave. He doesn't want to leave. He just wants a team that could contend for a championship. So that's what he was talking about. And the issue with that is they didn't really add anything. What, Cody Zeller? No. So anyway, I don't see it happening for the Blazers. They give me 9th. Sorry, Dame. Shout out fantasy team again. And then 10th, the Timberwolves. I think the Wolves are a team that, you know what, they're young, but they have some talent here. They have something to really work with. And I have to mention his name again. Ben Simmons should go to the Wolves. Think about that. Ben Simmons with Cat, with A. Edwards, they would have to probably move D'Lo in that deal, but you also have McDaniels, who would probably also have to be moved. But if they somehow find a way to keep either McDaniels or Russell, I mean, hey, you're working with something here. But yeah, they have some young talent in Minnesota right now. And if they can mesh, if they could really work together well enough, you never know what could happen with the Wolves this season. And then here's how the rest of the West rounds out. So I have the Kings just missing the play-in. They're going to be 11th. The Pelicans, yes, the Pelicans are not making the play-in, not in my mind. I know it's a shock because they got Brandon Ingram, All-Star, Zion. I mean, that's a whole other thing I'm going to be touching on later. But I just don't believe in this team right now. I don't like it. I know they got JV just extended as well on a 2-year deal. I'm not liking what I'm seeing so far with the roster construction in New Orleans. I'm confused. Then you have the Thunder at 13th. I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to have a huge year, despite the fact that he's on the Thunder, a young team, very, very young, inexperienced team that's probably not going to make much noise in the West. But Shai will have an MIP bid for most improved, and then the Spurs and Nuggets round out the Western Conference. So honestly, those are my picks for the conferences. I think teams to watch though this year. Look, I'm looking at the Celtics as well. Let's go back east. I'm looking at the Celtics. They had a disappointing year last year. I really want to see how it's going to work out this year. I think Jason Tatum's going to grow. A lot of people, some people, I mean, think that he could have an MVP type year this year. I would love to see that. I think it's maybe a year or two too early to talk MVP with Jason Tatum's name. But the center spot, I mean, Robert Williams, he's going to have a big year this year for the Celtics if they want to do things deep in the playoffs. Schroeder, he comes in to the Celtics, obviously former Laker last season, that whole thing with the contract and whatnot. I think Schroeder, coming off the bench, he has a bid for sixth man of the year. So the Celtics are a team I'm watching. Obviously, the Nets. I mean, we'll touch on them later. They're going to be very, very fun to watch this year. But yeah, that's how everything's playing out in the East and in the West. You guys just saw it. As for West teams to watch, I'm looking at the Warriors. They're back, right? Steph Curry, he's going to have a great year. And obviously, we're talking about Klay Thompson coming back at some point, right? But it's not just the Splash Brothers. It's the Splash step brother, Jordan Poole. Where did this guy come from? Oh, yeah, he was Michigan. Okay, shout out to Wolverines fans who know about Jordan Poole. He was like this in college, okay? Let's remember that buzzer he hit against Houston, okay? So he's going to have a nice season for the Golden State Warriors, and he's going to have a lot of action as Klay tries to, get back into the groove of things and get back to playing action. And remember, they don't have James Wiseman right now. They don't have Kuminga right now. They're getting talent. They're getting more talent in the door as time goes on. So the Warriors are a team I'm watching, and maybe they make a big trade. You never know what's going to happen by the deadline. So the Warriors are a team I'm watching out west, and also Luka's Mavericks. Why? Because, we're looking at it and we're saying to ourselves, is Luka going to get MVP? It's very possible. But the only thing with that is, can they be in the top four-ish area? I think for Luka to win MVP, they have to be top 14. The West is so hard to predict right now. The hierarchy is very tough to see right now. You have all these teams bunched up together. I think Luka Doncic, though, he's going to have a big year. Why? Because they need him. The Dallas Mavericks need him to have a big year. If they don't have no Luka Doncic, they're not making the top six. If they don't have no Luka Doncic coming up big for them, they're going to probably fall into the play-in tournament. So, but I don't think they're going to find themselves there. They do have some nice parts around Doncic and a lot of shooting. So we'll see how that works out. But yeah, that's how I'm seeing things in the Western Conference right now. Now, where everything really goes on and all the big talks, all the big debates happen, the playoffs, okay? So the playoffs, I'm going to skip right through and go all the way to the conference finals. Let's go east. Conference finals in the Eastern Conference. I think a lot of people have this pick. I think that I'm not really going out on a limb here. I have the Bucks playing the Nets. I think a lot of people just have this one. They're the two favorite teams in the East. Two favorites. They're the best teams in the East. I think that is those two. It's Milwaukee, it's Brooklyn, it's everyone else. That's how I see it. That's how I view it. I don't see the Heat being better than these two. I don't see the Celtics. I don't see the Hawks. No, I don't see anybody. Now, who's going to win it? I have the Milwaukee Bucks winning in 6 games. Yes. I was somebody who said Nets all the time, just like everyone else. But what is holding me back right now is Kyrie Irving. It's Kyrie Irving. Where is he? We don't know. Will he come back? We don't know. Seems unclear. Now, if they don't have him, it makes things a bit difficult. I'm going to say this. Yes, they still have KD and all those guys, but it makes it a bit difficult for them to win. And as for the Bucks, I mean, they have Giannis, right? They have Giannis. They have their big three coming off of a championship win. They have cohesion, unlike the Nets big three. The Nets big three barely play together. How many times have we seen Kyrie play with KD and Durant? What, less than 10 times probably? So there's a lot more cohesion, like I said, with the Bucks big three with Jrue Holiday, Chris Middleton and Giannis Antetokounmpo rather than the Nets big three. And that's going to be big come playoff time. That's going to be big. So you look at the Bucks core, they're returning. Also, you have the return of Dante DiVincenzo. That is a big pickup for them. Why? Because when they lost him in the playoffs last year, they did struggle without him at times. Despite winning the championship, you could tell there were certain games, certain situations when they needed a bucket, when they needed some creativity on the floor, and he wasn't there. Dante is a guy that could come in, be creative with the basketball, and he could get his own shot. So DiVincenzo coming back, that really helps them coming off of his injury. And then Grayson Allen, he comes in, shoring up the shooting. They lost Bryn Forbes. He went back to the Spurs, I believe, and now Grayson Allen comes back in return. So that's pretty good for them. And then obviously George Hill, he comes, adds experience. So they have the core, they have the championship core. They're back. And another thing is, I now have come around. I believe in Chris Middleton. I was not a Chris Middleton believer at all. I wasn't. I was like, he is going to hold Giannis back from Giannis's championship dream. But we saw 23.6 points per game in the playoffs. I trust him now. He came up big in many, many moments. We all know he's the last shot guy on the Bucks. And you know what? He has been clutch at times. Let's just call it like it is. And he was huge in their pursuit for a championship last season. So I think that Middleton coming up big throughout the season and definitely in the playoffs in 2022 will be the reason why the Bucks could win this series and can win the series. And I just think, honestly, the Nets defense is going to get exposed. They have a good offense. We all know that. It's nothing new. It's not breaking news that they have a great offense. The defense is such a concern for me. That's why I can't put all my stock into the Nets right now. I can't. And honestly, I'm trying not to flip-flop. I never flip-flop on my picks. I never do. But this year, I need to see what's going to happen with the Nets. The Nets have an improved roster, good rotation right now. I love their pickups of Paul Millsap. He's a vet that knows the game. He's going to bring a great element to the Nets offense. You have Patty Mills. He's no scrub, okay? NBA champ, for those who forgot. Patty Mills, former Spur, he's going to help them in terms of shooting and in terms of experience, leadership in the locker room. Great pickup for the Nets there. And then obviously Lamarcus Aldridge, shout out to him coming back. Remember, he retired due to health conditions. He's back now in the fold, so that's going to help. Cam Thomas, X Factor. I think Cam Thomas, he's definitely a scorer. All right. We've seen it in the Summer League and prior to that even. So he's going to help out the Nets in that area. And then the one guy I'm looking at, though, Joe Harris. Joe Harris, he's a really, really good shooter. We all know this, but he has to be big in the playoffs. He has to come up big in the playoffs. Without him, the Nets will struggle, right? They need him to show up. He didn't show up last playoffs. Do you remember? I forgot what game it was. In Milwaukee, he had an open look. He missed it. They could have won the game. Probably ended the Bucks season, relatively, but it didn't happen. And we all know what happened after that. The Bucks went all the way. But yeah, going cold against Milwaukee last season, he was averaging 9 points. All right. Do you remember that? 34.9 shooting, I believe. Do you remember that? And remember, he's a 3-point assassin. 31.2 from 3-point range. That wasn't good enough. So if they don't have him in their playoff run, it's going to really hurt. But I'm basically saying the Bucks right now because I don't know what's going on with Kyrie Irving. I'm just going to put it out there right now. If Kyrie Irving is here, if Kyrie Irving is present more than half their games, if he takes the shot and actually comes back to play for the Brooklyn Nets this season, the Nets are winning the championship. The Brooklyn Nets will win the championship if Kyrie Irving is ready to go. If not, they're not winning the championship. It's on Kyrie. I believe that. I honestly believe that. Can I trust KD? Yes, I can. KD's going to do what KD does. We know who he is. You know who I am. He said that once upon a time. He said that once upon a time. We know who he is. Harden, that's the one thing we're going to talk about him later in the playoffs, but he's James Harden. He's James Harden, one of the best players in the game, one of the best players of all time. We see in the top 75 list that he's on. But they need a Kyrie up in there, man. They need Kyrie. I'm telling you, because the Bucks are a good team. They look stronger. And that guy Giannis, he's getting better and better and better. And I'm afraid. I am afraid he might have a shot. He might have a jump shot. Hello, is this mic on? Have you seen him in the preseason? Have you seen him in the opener against the Nets? He might be developing a shot before our very eyes. If that happens, it's over. It's over. So give me the Bucks right now. But again, remember what I said about the Nets and Kyrie Irving. If Kyrie's there, my pick changes. My pick changes. But we can't really do hypotheticals. I don't believe in hypotheticals right now. So we're going to say the Bucks are going to the NBA Finals. Now, who do they meet? They meet up with the Los Angeles Lakers. LeBron, AD, Westbrook, big three. All right, they're going to win the Western Conference, but the West isn't easy, though. Again, it's not easy to predict right now because there are so many teams. The Suns, can they rebound after what they did last year? The Nuggets, the Warriors. Can the Clippers somehow get up in there, even without Kawhi for the foreseeable future? Can Dallas make some noise with Luka Doncic? There are so many teams. The Jazz have a well-rounded team every single year. They just can't get over the hump. Will this be the year to get over the hump? So that's why it's not. Look, me picking the Lakers isn't easy because I was looking at the Warriors, and I'm still looking at the Warriors. I'm like, the Warriors might go all the way, and I won't be surprised if they go to the finals. I will not be surprised. Splash Brothers return at some point. Clay's coming back. You got your guys, Kuminga, James Wiseman coming back as well. You have Jordan Poole, Iggy's back. That helps. Green, all those guys here. So you never know. Bielitsa, that's a good pickup, man. I love it. I think the Warriors is the perfect spot for Bielitsa right now. We saw what he did against the Lakers in Game 1. Now the only thing is, I'm looking at another team to reach the conference finals, because based on my West standings, remember the bracket, it would be the Lakers. I have them going all the way, right? So they would beat the Warriors in the second round, right? So initially I was like, okay, the Warriors are going to meet up with the Lakers in the conference finals, but according to my standings, they can't. That's not possible, right? So I have the Lakers playing the Nuggets. Yes, the Denver Nuggets, once again, remember, they met each other in the 2009 conference finals and the 2020 conference finals. And what happened both times? The Lakers won. The Lakers are going to win in 6. All right. The Nuggets are a team. The Nuggets are a very good team. And they're going to have a nice team. They already have it. Will Barton, Aaron Gordon, Jeff Green, huge pickup. You have yourselves MPJ. You have yourself the reigning MVP, Nikola Jokic. All that works for you. But when you get Jamal Murray back, that's when we're saying, okay, Denver, I see you. Because Denver's going to be really scary once Jamal Murray gets back. When healthy, Denver's one of the better teams in the NBA. But I have the Lakers reaching the finals. And in the NBA finals, this is what's going to happen, man. This is what's going to happen. We have Giannis. We have LeBron in the finals. It's going to be great finals. The reigning finals MVP, reigning champ. All right. Multiple-time Defensive Player of the Year, Giannis, playing against one of the greats, LeBron James. It's going to be a great storyline, finals, but I just don't see it happening for Giannis this time. The Lakers, that's what it's going to look like at the end, guys. This is what it's going to look like. LeBron's going to have 5 rings. LeBron is going to end up with 5 rings. Now, 1 second. Remember, I want you guys to have this in your head. Put it in your brain. If Kyrie Irving is here, if Kyrie Irving is present, this whole Lakers Bucks gets washed away. If Kyrie Irving is present, the Lakers will meet up with the Nets and the Nets will win. But that's not the case right now. All right. I just want you guys to remember though, Kyrie is the difference for me. That's what it is. These predictions are based on what I'm seeing right now, not on hypotheticals. Oh, is Kyrie coming? We don't know what's happening with Kyrie, so I have the Lakers over the Bucks, right? But if Kyrie's there, the Nets are winning the whole thing. But the Lakers, I think that this is gonna happen because I mean, you give me a healthy LeBron James with a healthy, knock on wood, AD. Who is beating these guys in the West? Who's beating them in the West? I don't know. I don't see it. It's gonna be tough. It's not gonna be easy for Lakers. It's not. There's no cakewalk. It's not. This is different than 2020. I think 2020 their playoffs. I think every series went 5 games, if I'm not mistaken, except for the finals against the Heat, where that went 6. But this is going to be a dogfight. The West is no joke. But I trust in LeBron James. 19 years in the NBA and he's still looking like this? My Lord. All right, now let's move to our awards. Our awards look like this. Steph Curry is going to be the 2022 MVP. Write it down, ladies and gentlemen. Write it down. My guy, Steph, my favorite player in all of basketball. You guys know me. It's Steph. It goes Steph, Dame, LeBron, and then Giannis. And those are my favorite guys in the game of basketball right now. But Steph, I think he's getting MVP. Why? Because he has to lead these guys all the way. If they want to go all the way, they're going to need Steph Curry because they don't have Klay Thompson right now. Draymond Green isn't as good as he once was. He's still a factor, but not as good as he once was. And the Warriors are a lot younger than they have been over the past few years. So Steph is really the guy on the team that has to lead them to where they want to go. So I think he's going to have great numbers and a fantastic year. Jalen Green, Rookie of the Year. Houston, not going to have a good year team-wise, but I think Jalen Green, just how he has athletic ability, he has the shot selection is one thing that I want to see him grow this season, but he has what it takes to be a Zach LaVine type guy. He does. He really, really does. As for Coach of the Year this year, give me Billy Donovan. Chicago. I think Chicago, again, they're going to have a good year. They're going to have a good year. They have a nice rotation, nice roster overall. I do believe that Donovan is going to have Zach LaVine playing even better this year. I think that he's going to find a way to mesh all the new parts coming in, including Lonzo Ball, who I think will be much improved, and also DeMar DeRozan. But yeah, I give it to Donovan, Coach of the Year this year. And also watch Monty Williams, watch Nate McMillan and Eric Spoelstra and Quinn Snyder. Those are other guys that I'm looking at this year. Anthony Davis, Defensive Player of the Year. I think DPOY is in his future. Again, the Lakers are going to have a good year this season, obviously. And I think AD is going to be healthy. I really think he's going to be healthy this year. And we know what a menace he is on the defensive side of the basketball. But guys, obviously, you got the usual suspects, Rudy Gobert, Giannis Antetokounmpo, maybe even Joel Embiid. We don't know. So those guys are guys to watch. But I'll give it to AD. Derrick Rose, six man. I think a lot of people aren't looking at Derrick Rose here. He wouldn't be the first. No, I think that was Harden, the first to have 6-man and MVP. But he'd be that. He'd be a former MVP with the 6-man award. I believe that in New York, another team that we're really interested in this year, you're looking at the fact that they have Julius Randle, who made the All-Star team, Thibodeau, Coach of the Year. You have RJ Barrett. I think Barrett's going to rise and continue to improve and grow this season. You have the return of Mitchell Robinson. The Knicks have him back. That's going to be huge. He's effective, like really effective on the boards and defensively. So that's going to be interesting to watch. But the Knicks and on the bench as well, you have Derrick Rose, like I mentioned, Obi Toppin. I think Obi Toppin, Emmanuel Quickly, they will grow. All right. Why? Because Derrick Rose is there. I think the second unit with Derrick Rose going to help them grow. And obviously, can't forget these two guys. They're new additions. You have Kemba Walker, right? New York, born and bred. He's ready to represent the Knicks this season. He's going to have a nice year. Probably not an all-star type year for Kemba, but he's going to make the Garden rock. I think that is going to be a lot of fun. And then you have Evan Fournier, shout out fantasy team. I think Fournier is an underrated type of guy. He could get his own shot. He could shoot the basketball effectively. He could get some points for you, and he sees the floor properly, and he understands shot selection as well. So it's going to be intriguing to watch the Knicks this year. Give me Derrick Rose, man. I think he's going to have a year where we're really saying, man, Derrick Rose, he came up big, and he came up big for the Knicks in terms of a playoff push, right? They're going to need him for this playoff push. Give me Derrick Rose. And then for most improved player, give me Michael Porter Jr. I tried this last year. I think it was a year too early on this one. And he did start slow last year. I won't lie. He did start a bit slow just in terms of scoring. He was under 20 points per game. But after the All-Star break, his numbers, they kept on rising, kept on improving. And he averaged 22.3 points per game on 56.4 shooting from the field. That's not bad. And then you also add on to that he was 46.4 from beyond the arc. I believe that these numbers, the shooting percentage from the field, from beyond the arc, and points per game, are going to improve. Why? Because the Denver Nuggets need him. If I'm somebody saying they're making the conference finals and they don't have Jamal Murray still, look, they're going to need not only Jokic to be Jokic and be that MVP type guy, they're going to need another man there. And that's going to be MPJ, right? You got Monte Morris as well. Monte Morris, underrated point guard, but that's not the guy. Campazzo, that's not the guy. Will Barton, no. Aaron Gordon, no. We're going to need MPJ to show up if the Denver Nuggets want to have that type of year. So give it to him. I think that is going to be how it looks for the awards. And now to the Fraud Watch. The Fraud Watch, yes. So again, the Fraud Watch is when someone doesn't perform up to par, someone comes up short when it matters most, or a situation that just looks really, really bad, right? That's when I put the term up. I say, look, you're on Jelani's Fraud Watch, copyrighted, by the way. And also Fraud Watch, copyrighted as well. I'm trying to make that my own hashtag. But yeah, so the Fraud Watch. Here are my Fraud Watch alerts for 2022. All right, so can the Suns and the Hawks prove to us that they are those type of teams? Because let's start with the Suns. They have to prove they can do it without the West being injured. Remember, last playoffs, AD, LeBron was banged up. The Nuggets had no Jamal Murray. Kawhi Leonard gets hurt somehow. Remember, that it's just a random injury when Ingles ran into him. So they managed to get through. I mean, it was still tough. You have to get through. You have to win 4 games per series. But hey, you were missing those guys on the other side. So can they repeat what they did last year? Yeah, Monty Williams. He was my coach of the year last year. I think he was robbed. He was absolutely robbed of the coach of the year. I'm sorry, not sorry. All right. But I think he's going to have a good year once again, coaching these guys up. They have good depth. They have key ads. They have Shamet. He comes in. Alfred Payton, JaVale McGee. Growth from Jalen Smith would be great for the Suns this season, but I'm looking at them and I'm looking at the Hawks. The Hawks. Why? Nate McMillan, once again on Coach of the Year watch, but he also has the talent to really make this team look really good this season. A lot of people think they were a fluke. A lot of people thought they shouldn't have beaten the Knicks. Look, if you were someone that thought the Hawks were losing to the Knicks last year, stop it, okay? I don't know why you would think that. The Hawks were the better team, all right? They have Trae Young, obviously, who is going to have an all-star type of year. He keeps getting better, 25.3 points per game on 8.9 assists last year. He's going to have those numbers increase. But what I'm looking for is just to see their team. Why? Because they're young, they're athletic, they could shoot the ball, all these sort of things. You have Cam Reddish's return. Cam Reddish comes back. DeAndre Hunter as well, their returns. And also a dark horse rookie of the year right now, Jalen Johnson Remember, he went to Duke. Ew, Duke. Hate Duke. You know me. I'm North Carolina through and through. However, he is going to have to find a way, first of all, to get through all the depth they have at the wing. But he is somebody who could be a dark horse rookie of the year candidate. But can the Hawks do what they did last year? Will be interesting to watch. Another thing, Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons, why? Well, where do we start? I already went off on this man, okay? I don't want to go off on this man again. He's been on the Fraud Watch. He's been on there. He's one of the Fraud Watch representatives right now, okay? He's one of the co-chairs right now. But the Sixers don't want to trade him. We obviously see that he was suspended for conduct detrimental to the team. Remember, he went to the, for those who don't know or living under a rock, he showed up to the facility, practice was going on, and he had a phone in his pocket. He didn't look like he was engaged. We heard reports Doc Rivers wanted him to come in for a drill. He said no. Doc asked him again. He said no. What do you not understand? And Doc sent him home. He's like, okay, go home. And then today it comes out that he currently isn't mentally ready to come back play for the Sixers. Understandable, because I mean the crowd would just lose it on him. Their home opener. If he comes out there, oh my goodness. And also he's receiving treatment on his back due to ramp up process, and right now apparently there's some back issue. I think that, look, I don't want to say an injury is fake, but I mean, come on, like I think that he's just saying this not to play, honestly. The case of this, though, why are the Fraud Watch, Ben Simmons and the Sixers? Who will cave first? Will it be the Sixers saying, you know what, we got to move this man? Or will it be Ben Simmons saying, okay, you know what, I'm going to play? Because it's a really bad look right now. If you're the Sixers, I don't think it's good for you if you go out there and you start Ben Simmons against the Nets on Friday or against another team, especially at home, because you're going to put Ben Simmons out there for him to get flamed by the Philly crowd. That's not a good look. All right. And we all know about the chemistry issues right now with he and Joel Embiid. It's just bad. It's really bad. And one more thing, this will change the CBA. The owners, the player union will be talking about this situation. Whenever something goes wrong, will players say, you know what, I want out, despite the fact I'm on a max deal, or despite the fact I have 4 years left on my deal? I signed a contract. It seems as if I forgot that I signed a contract to get your butt in the facility and play. So those things are going to be very, very fun to watch as we move forward. I don't know where it's going to go from here in terms of the CBA cracking down on guys doing this, right? And will the Sixers cave? I mean, there are teams out there that would love to have Ben Simmons. The Kings, I know that would be a good spot for them to just get his talent. Again, I said the Timberwolves, the Golden State Warriors, you never know. So that's something I'm really watching this year. Another team on the Fraud Watch, the Lakers. Why? Well, the Lakers, they have this big three set up, right? But can they mesh? If they don't get this done, they will get flamed on Twitter. We all know this. They will get flamed like there's no tomorrow. And you know who will be the scapegoat? Russell Westbrook. Look, Russ, I don't know. I don't know if this is going to work. I hope it does. That's why I have him going to the finals. I believe it will work. And remember, LeBron's teams, they start off slow. They start slow. Do not panic if this thing doesn't look great from the jump. We saw it in the first game. The lane was clogged. That doesn't help Russ at all. We saw this in Houston with Clint Capella. They had to move him. Because the lane was never open for him. All right? He's not the best shooter, so he needs the lane to be open. Right? That's what he does. That's what he needs. And there are times when we might need to see Russ be Russ. However, that's more so with the second unit. Because with the second unit, he has freedom with the basketball to do whatever he wants. You could be Russ. Have the ball in your hand, call the shots. But when it's Bron and AD on the floor, that's not the case. I don't think that should be the case, right? When they're the focal point, AD and LeBron James, I think that Russ has to help with, transition offense, fast breaks, quick ball movement, rather than helping out in terms of being, the primary ball handler in the 24-second offense, a shot clock offense. I think that's going to be something to really watch. I think they should give a lot of looks to Rondo. I think Rondo needs a lot of action this season as as a primary ball handler as well. But it's going to be interesting to see how that big three meshes, man, because remember, they had it in place for Buddy Hield to come over in the deal. It wasn't supposed to be Russ. It was supposed to be Buddy Hield. All of a sudden, we see Russ get traded to LA. It was random. It was right before our eyes, something that we weren't expecting. Now, Bron and AD, you wanted Russ. You wanted them. So it has to work. You have to find a way to make it work. Because if you don't, and you passed up on a guy in Hield who would have provided better spacing and better shooting, let's be honest, then we're going to be talking about, okay, you made a mistake. And this move held you back from a championship. That's what's going to happen if this doesn't get done. And they need to get it done. There's no excuses for you, LeBron James. I love LeBron. No excuses. I know you're in year 19, but you look like you're in year 2. All right? You look fantastic. You have what it takes to bring the Lakers all the way. And AD, given health, there's no excuses for you either. I'm expecting a big year from Anthony Davis. Now, they need to play AD at the 5. I think they need to play AD at the 5 a lot more than they want to. And LeBron at the 4, especially the Western Conference. You're looking at big teams, all right? A lot of teams that feature bigs that might cause issues, right? And AD might have to deal with that, right? On both sides of the ball. So put AD at the 5. But anyway, moving on to 2 more FraudWatch alerts for this season. I'm looking at James Harden. James Harden, why? The legacy factor of it all. Kyrie's not here. So this is his time to really prove to us, okay, you know what? You lose a really, really good player, all-timer, but we still got it done. We as in KD and Harden. Harden has to prove it to us in the playoffs. He has to. All right. There are times where he has come up big in the playoffs. He's not only known for choking. All right. Because he had times where he did carry the Rockets over the years. But now it's about that ring. He needs the ring. There's no excuse. You're on arguably the most favored team in the NBA right now, with or without Kyrie. So if Harden comes up small in the playoffs and it's only KD, or there are games where KD comes up big and Harden's numbers are pedestrian, that is not going to look good at all. Trust me. And the media will flame this man. I'm telling you, he's on the fraud watch. He needs to show up big this year. Former MVP, someone who we consider to be one of the better 2s of all time. Top 5 2 guard of all time. Your legacy catapults given a ring comes this year, James Harden. So I'm looking at you, James. I'm looking at you, and I'm looking at the playoffs. I don't care about no regular season. We know who you are. We know what's going to happen. The 30-point game nights. We know the triple doubles are going to come. We get that. But when it matters most against the Bucks, because you're going to meet the Bucks, you're going to meet your man's Giannis Antetokounmpo, who you don't like. You're going to meet up with him. And when that time comes, will you come up big or will you come up small? Will we be asking questions to KD in the press conference saying, man, how does it feel that Harden didn't really help you out today? Right? We can't have that happen. No, James Harden, because if he doesn't pull it off, if he doesn't show up in the playoffs, his legacy takes a hit rather than being increased and being helped out by a potential ring. So James Harden needs this for his legacy, needs it bad with or without Kyrie. And lastly, the Pelicans, man. The Pelicans are on my fraud watch because they are supposed to be a lot better. Last year was bad. Last year was really, really bad in New Orleans. It was bad. It was bad. You were supposed to be way better than you ended up being. I don't know what happened there. I don't know what the issue was. But they keep telling us they want to build the right team around Zion. I haven't seen it. I have not seen it. I don't like the roster construction in New Orleans right now. And also, teams are looking at New Orleans and monitoring the situation. They're really zeroing in on this because we've heard murmurs about Zion not really being happy or satisfied with the front office in New Orleans right now. Okay? And these reports came out last year. We heard of it. So with that being said, rival teams are looking at this situation, trying to pounce. Will Zion be the first superstar to really turn down the rookie extension. That's never happened, bro. That's never happened. Everyone knows the 4 years you spend your years with the team that drafted you, then you re-up. You re-up for further years to get a second contract down the line, possibly. No one leaves after 4 years. This might be the case with Zion. We don't know. And why would he leave? It's because the dysfunction and the way that things are going in New Orleans doesn't really look crystal clear. But Zion is also on FraudWatch. It's not the Pelicans only. Zion's a good player, but the reports coming out that you touched 300 pounds. What is that New Orleans Dumbo doing to you, my guy? 300? Are we playing in the NFL? No. So the weight issue was something we were really looking at because the weight, yes, everyone's going to be like, oh, just make him into Lakers Shaq. Just put him in the paint. He's going to be huge anyway. No one's going to stop him. The problem is injuries. The injuries that come with the weight, that come with the size, that's not beneficial. It's not going to be sustainable. So Zion needs to really control that. He really, really does because he has a high ceiling. His career is going to be great, but the injury factor is going to be huge. All right, the injuries, and also the fact of the matter is, I know a lot of people aren't really interested to seeing, the Pelicans and seeing what they've done in terms of roster. I know they have Brandon Ingram, but what else? Jonas Valanciunas, but what else? But they have a star-studded talent in Zion. The weight is a problem. It's a problem. 300? That's not good to hear. No one's interested in that. He needs to lose the weight because given the weight, it's going to result in injuries. We can't have that. But that's the fraud watch. We'll see what happens. And more people are going to enter the fraud watch this season. You know that. All right. You know that already. So don't be no frauds. Show up when called upon. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching the show. It was good to be back. I gave you a long episode today. Usually I don't go this long, but I'm happy to be back and giving you my NBA predictions 2022. Let's hope I'm correct. And let's hope I'm wrong about the Raptors. I want the Raptors in the playoffs, but we'll see what happens on that mark. And again, my finals, Lakers, Bucks. For now, we'll see what happens with Kyrie Irving. But guys, thank you for watching. Like I said, follow at the RBTL show on Instagram, and I will see you next time. Go Cowboys.